It is Monday on Daily Delivery. I'm Michael Rand, Patrick Reusse here as well. Patrick, I'm assuming, I think we talked a little bit before we started here. You didn't watch a ton of sports over the weekend, but I think based on our conversations, you did watch the Super Bowl at the very least, the big one. I think we agree that it was not not every close game is a great game, and that was as far as Super Bowls go, is fine. At least it was, it did go down to the wire, but not a classic in my estimation.
A couple of things. If I'm a Chiefs fan today, I'm nauseated, right?
Yes.
I did not win it this year. That you look at this Cincinnati team and, they're certainly a plucky group and played very well defensively yesterday. But that offense, that's got to be the worst offensive line to ever win a Super Bowl, doesn't it? It's the guy's going to get killed, Burrow, if they don't do something about that offensive line. But I look at that team and think I had Pat Mahomes. I could have had Pat Mahomes playing in that game, and he certainly would have made more plays because he could have run away from somebody. And as ineffective as the Rams offense was most of the game, and as mediocre as Matt Stafford was, we're going to read all these tributes to the great Matt Stafford. He did nothing until that last drive. It was what? The other thing, Mike, I was thinking this, we got spoiled the previous 3 weekends of playoffs. There were so many. The close games there were dynamic to the most point. Somebody did something dramatic. Somebody, there were some explosive plays. There was, when the defensive plays were made, they were dynamic, and there was nothing. There was just not much of a football. If it would have been played in the regular season, everybody would have yawned and gone home. But I will say this fella from Eastern Washington, Cooper Kupp, is a hard cover, isn't he? Man alive, he knows where he's going, and you don't. And he's pretty good. And the Rams, we think of the Rams as somewhat of a storied franchise. Even when they were out in Los Angeles, they had not won an NFL title since 1951. Since they won one, they were in St. Louis for 21 years. But it's interesting to see how they react, right, to this. If they're going to have a big parade or do something. But Los Angeles, I've been to 2 Super Bowls in Los Angeles. I think you had no idea it was occurring. Every other town, hey, the Super Bowl, it's all, you can't get away from it. Was Los Angeles, it was just something happening over here.
Just one other party. Just one other party.
Yes. But I'm sure having the Rams win, it's everybody's happy about that. Now how favored were they? 4.5?
4.5, I think, was the line they went with it.
So the Bengals cover, and the over has to win easy, right? The over and under had to be low 50s, didn't it?
So the under wins.
The under, under wins easy. So, it was. I watched. The halftime show was longer than the game, by the way, too. The game
and better. Better.
I didn't watch it. I don't watch them.
I love the halftime show. That's the music of my
I don't care
late teens, 20s.
I don't care about the music. I care about 45 minutes. That's what I care about. That sport is not intended to be played with a 45-minute break in the middle of it and have everybody come back out here and play. It's ridiculous. Let's have the Rolling Stones come out and sing 3 songs and get the hell off the field. We don't have to have a 35-minute marathon of crap that goes on, and we're moving buildings in and off the field. And to me, it takes away from the competition to make those guys sit in that locker room for 40 minutes while we're doing all this nonsense.
Think of the halftime adjustments, Patrick. How much opportunity you have to adjust when you have that much time.
Adjustments, and then you've been in there so long, everybody forgets. What the hell? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, the first half, the halftime show took longer than the first half, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Well, the Rams couldn't run the ball. I'm glad you mentioned Cooper Kupp, because kind of maybe the underrated play of the game was him running for that first down on that little.
You lose the game right there.
And that wasn't exactly just a run to outrun a guy to the corner. He had to make a decision on cutting that thing up, and that was a dicey play when you looked at the replay. It's like he made that play more than what it should have been, probably.
And if we get our new Viking coach here, I would think Tuesday, although maybe he has to stick around for parade and it'll be later in the week. I hope he wasn't the guy that sent down hey, let's run Cooper Kupp. Let's flip the ball back to Cooper Kupp and then throw it to Matthew Stafford here. You know what? If I want a yard, I'm going to have Matthew Stafford throw it to Cooper Kupp. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to have Cooper Kupp throw it to Matthew Stafford. I hope that wasn't our guy coming in with that stupid play, which was unbelievably dumb. But anyway, the Cincinnati play that was the little pitch back to a Mixon, that worked out pretty well. But
that was good.
I think they'd done that before. I don't think we've run a lot of Cooper Kupp to Matthew Stafford plays.
No, although they said that Mixon had never thrown a pass in the NFL, so it wasn't him.
Oh, really? Okay, all right.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
Hey, did Burrow's going to get killed though?
He got sacked 8 times, right?
Yes, yeah. He got sacked 9 times against Tennessee.
Yes,
it was the second half. He had they throw the 75-yarder right off the bat, and there was a little bit of a cheating on that. But what the heck? It's football. After that, he did nothing. They had, as I said, 230 yards if you take away that 75-yarder, which a normally officiated game, it would have come back probably. They were obviously out there with instructions not to call many penalties.
Except in one of the biggest moments of the game. That was
third down on the goal line.
Third and goal at the 8. Man, that would that's the game. That's the game right there.
That's why the NFL drives me nuts. Official. I don't think there's any game where the officials have. I mean, basketball, you get endless. They have a lot of influence because they call 40 fouls a game, right? So, but I don't think there's any game where calling a penalty influences as much as especially in the NFL where pass interference is 15 yards or first down, or I'm going to put the ball on the 1-yard line, or they called that as a hold, but still it decided the game. Otherwise you're fourth down from there and you got to score, right?
Yes. It would have been fourth and goal from like the 8. And
yeah.
No,
so this was a great game because it gave fans from both sides to complain about the referees. They got the Rams could say, I grabbed his face mask. He shouldn't have been a touchdown. And then the Bengals fans in Cincinnati, I'm sure that they can whine like crazy. And as the announcers kept saying, we're going to see Joe Burrow in this game again. Well, maybe not. You never know.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if they don't do something about their offensive line. I'd rather have the Vikings offensive line than that collection.
Could be the next Dan Marino. He got there pretty young and then he never got back.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. He's, I don't think, he was under so much stress, it's hard to say, but I don't think he was sharp either. Do you?
He missed a few. I mean, it was one of those games where the matchup was, going in, the matchup wasn't one where you're like, oh yeah, Super Bowl, Rams and Bengals. And then the game, like we said, the game itself, it wasn't like wasn't a bad game. And at least it was close, but it was, I don't think everybody was at peak performance. I mean, the thing is the Rams' best players won the game for him. I mean, Kupp played amazing, and Aaron Donald, when after a very quiet first half, made 3 or 4 of the plays in the second half to either get him off the field or eventually, seal the game. He's the one that got Burrow,
Yeah.
Almost on the ground at the end on that final incompletion win. By the way, Bengals had 2nd and 1 from midfield, and they get cute. They try to take a deep shot on 2nd and 1. Then their 3rd and 1 running play gets stopped, and all of a sudden it's do or die, and then you run a shotgun play on 4th and a half yard. I don't know. They got a little cute there at the end and cost themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Get the first down. Keep moving that way. You got the kid, you're going to get overtime if you get to the 35, right? If you get to the 35, that guy's going to make a 53-yarder for you. McPherson.
He stayed out and watched the halftime show. He stayed and watched. Did you see that? They showed no. There's a little clip of him watching the halftime show and then like shrugging his shoulders like, hey, I wanted to watch the halftime show.
Why not? What the hell?
You're a kicker. What are you going to go? What are they going to go tell you in the halftime? What's the halftime adjustment for a kicker? Keep making your kicks.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is just, as I say, the league drives me crazy because the influence of officials. And we had another. We won a couple of years ago. Was that a Super Bowl where all of a sudden?
Well, there was the NFC title. There's the NFC title game with the pass interference that was not called, and they changed the rule to make it reviewable for a little while.
Yeah, and after that, and after another postseason, they decided after the postseason, 2 years ago, that they weren't going to call it. Last year, they didn't call any penalties, right? And that was the big deal about the playoffs last year. They stopped calling penalties.
I think so.
And then yesterday was the public likes those games, right? So, but then to call that 3rd down play, that's bad. That's bad. But I'll tell you what, NFL's never been bigger than it is now after this run of postseason games and LA wins. Take heart in this, folks, though. The Rams are going to be 5-12 3 years from now.
Yes,
they sold their souls for this game, and and they want it. Fine, I think everybody would say that's great. Give me some bad years in the future, but this is not a dynasty. Don't worry about that.
No, they probably got 1 or 2 more, creative salary cap years to try to get out of this. If McVay stays, he keeps hinting that he's going to, bounce at a certain point and go work in TV. And now O'Connell coming to the Vikings. By the way, I was not that we hate to be negative in the media, don't we, Patrick? But I was already working on the storyline in my head that, oh man, the Vikings got the guy who lost the Super Bowl. That'd be just what this franchise needs is to bring in the guy who was on the team that lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I kept tweeting out how he tried to talk, my inside source is telling me he tried to talk McVay out of that stupid play down at the goal line, but they just wouldn't listen to him. I think when I look at the collection of coaches hired, I'd probably take this guy over any of them. I don't know enough about him. I haven't even heard him yet, but I am not impressed with the hires that were made this offseason. Are you? I mean, who's Eberflus? Who in the hell is Eberflus? Why would you immediately hire that guy from the, the guy they hired, the GM they hired, must have interviewed him on a phone, and they must have had a committee like the Vikings did, right?
Yes,
was investigating, and they took the recommendation of the search committee. I mean, how can you hire that guy? And just a bunch of very unimpressive hires. Lovie Smith, for poor old Lovie, for God's sakes. Lovie wasn't a good coach when he was a good coach, and with the Bears. And I think it's a very unimpressive group of hires. And I'd take this guy probably just sight unseen, but I kind of like the resume. So then, McVay is the way to go. Speaking of which, this Zach Taylor makes Bud Grant look like a animated fella, doesn't he? God almighty, what a stoic he is. He is the stoic of all time. Unbelievable. So anyway, it was not a great football game, but got over fairly early. If back in the days for newspaper purposes, that was good. So
yes, yes, it was. Other stuff happened over the weekend. It was kind of a winning weekend here. We can talk some local stuff and maybe a little bit of Olympics before we're done here. Probably gratifying for the Wolves to get Anthony Edwards back on track. It never seems like he and Cat have a great game at the same time. Maybe Cat is still reeling from accusations that he cheats at Wordle. Did you see that that little?
I don't even know what Wordle is.
You don't know Wordle is this word game that people have been playing. I play it too, but people online are saying that Cat cheats at Wordle. It's one of the more amusing storylines from the weekend. But
how does it go?
What?
So is it like Scrabble? Cheating on Scrabble? Is it the same thing?
Probably a little bit like that. Wordle is like this. There's one puzzle every day, and you try to you've got 6 clues, 6 tries to get a 5-letter word, and you get process of elimination by guessing different words, and then they tell you if the letters are in the words or not. And then you got 6 tries to narrow down the word, and they're saying Cat there's some nefarious behavior going on with that. So I wonder if that was influencing his game when we get 5 fouls in 22 minutes, maybe taking out his Wordle frustration Sunday against the Pacers. But Ant, who had been bad lately, 37 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals in that game. Wolves now 30 and 27. I got to say, Patrick, as much as my friends try to tease me about thinking the Wolves, there might be some cause for optimism in some years. I tried to learn my lesson this year. I tried to say this, let's hold off. This team's been better than I thought they would be. They're not great, but they've been better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, they're. It was interesting, the quote I saw from Finch over the weekend that, to me, their secret weapon had been Vanderbilt, right?
Yes.
See that quote from him that he hadn't been playing him as much, and you wonder why. And he said, well, he hasn't been playing defense as well as he had been.
Yep.
So, the Finch can be a pretty candid guy at times. But Russell's a better player than I thought. He'll take 6 games off with a hangnail, but they're pretty good when he plays. And Cat to me has had a hell of a year, and Edwards he's mercurial. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Sometimes I worry when he makes a bunch of threes.
Yes.
Because he starts thinking he's a 3-point shooter again, and he starts jacking stuff up. I gave you this quote from my friend Terry Kunze last week, I think.
Yeah.
The old basketball man is every time Edwards shoots, I think he's going to miss it. Yeah. That is because he doesn't have that smooth, shooting style. But yeah, they're still should be trying to get to 6th place. That's my theory. Let's actually make the playoffs, the real playoffs, which is now the top 6. Yes. Because now the NFL, there's a very good chance that the NBA will be like the NHL a few years ago, where they had the bubble and they said you had to win the first rounds of the playoff of that tournament down there to be a playoff team.
Yes.
And then they declared them all to be playoff teams. Right. They were feeling that. So 24. So that now the Wild claims to have been in the playoffs.
Right. Which they weren't.
The original was that they weren't.
Right.
Well, that'll end up being the same thing too. If you're in the top 10, if you fight your way into the top 67% of the teams, you'll be a playoff team. But I think the goal is still not to have to play in that pre-tournament and catch Denver and somebody else up there,
which I think is possible. It's not. I don't know if I'd say it's likely. I know. And the thing is, I keep it. All evidence points to the contrary, but I still keep thinking: are the Wolves really going to finish ahead of the Lakers? Are they going to finish ahead of the Clippers? Like the Lakers are so bad, but it flies in the face of everything I've seen for the last 20 years or so that a LeBron team would just continue to be bad.
And I watched a lot of the Warriors-Lakers second half on Saturday night, and the Warriors, they went right down to the wire with them and looked pretty damn good. Who's killing them? Russell Westbrook. He can't make a shot to save his life, and they're kind of stuck with him. But LeBron looked good. He had 25? Like when he plays, he gets 25 every night, and they look good. And So yeah, you're right. They're going to have to fight them off, and the Clippers are. I don't know. They're not. Kawhi is another guy who's stealing his money, so I don't know if they'll ever get them back. But yeah, you got to think the Lakers are going to figure something out. Lakers got some guy named Austin Reeves. I don't know where he came from, but he's a pretty good younger player for them. It's when they got a guy out there that's not 38, it's amazing
Right.
when you watch him. But yeah, it was really a good fourth quarter game, and Klay Thompson won the game for him. I don't get fixated on an NBA game not involving the Wolves too often, but it was a hell of a game, and they looked a little better. But this is. I mean, there's what's interesting to me, Mike, too, is all of a sudden Prince isn't playing at all,
Right.
and Noel is not playing. Noel is playing at all. He was playing great. What's happened to him?
I don't know. Finch doesn't really play favorites. He's like, if you're playing well, you're going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from Edwards, Towns, and Russell to a large degree, although Edwards will sit sometimes. Towns only played 22 yesterday, although that was probably the 5 fouls more than anything. But he's, you got to earn the playing time. You play well, and then you maybe have a bad game or two. You stop doing the things that he wants you to do, and then all of a sudden you're not going to be playing anymore. That's, they've got enough depth. It's not great depth, but it's, you got enough depth that you can kind of do that.
Well, McLaughlin got phased out. And now he's playing 20 minutes a game. So, he kind of came out of the outhouse. He wasn't playing, and now he's playing. So you're right. It's got to be a frustrating. I mean, if you're Prince and you're a veteran and you're kind of established yourself and you were playing 18, 20 minutes and getting 18 points, and all of a sudden did not play, coach's decision.
DNP-CD. Yeah.
What happened? So, it is an interesting mix. He probably does have too many players. I don't think my guy Tibbs is going to make her, though. I don't think he'll come out of the All-Star game. Did you see that one the other day yesterday? Or a couple of days ago?
No.
23-point lead.
Oh, to the Blazers, too, who can't wait to lose.
Against the Blazers.
Who can't wait to lose.
They scored 11 points. 11 points.
Oh, they're the 12th seed right now in the East.
Oh, they're not going to make it.
They're still within shouting distance of the top 10, but geez. Second year under Tibbs, man. It was the third year here, I guess, that was his undoing. But
was it the second year they made the playoffs, right?
The second year they made the playoffs here, and then the third year is when everything fell apart.
Yeah. Well, he lasted 4 here, right? He was into
He was into his fourth year when he got fired, yeah.
Yeah. But he was a hero last year, man, but there were no fans in the stands. I'm sure he's hearing from them now.
I would imagine they're letting him have it out there.
Poor Tibbs. This is it. We thought he wouldn't get another chance. I feel sorry for him because there's nothing else in his life.
Right.
When he talks about his family, he's talking about a niece, or no, a cousin, a niece who has a kid, I think. I mean, he's not like going out over to Thanksgiving dinner with 34 relatives,
right.
One of those guys, he's got nothing but basketball. It's kind of sad. But he's going down the tank again here.
So your Motzko got a sweep. The Wild beat Carolina. It was a good game of the night. I didn't watch all of it, but I was kind of watching some of the tweets when I wasn't watching. And everybody kept saying best game of the year. So take that for what it's worth.
Well, they were up 3-0 and gave up 2 in the third,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Carolina's good.
Carolina's very good.
Carolina, 3 goals is a lot to get against Carolina. They got the best defensive team in the league.
Yes.
And but Motzko's team, his goalie leaves for Carolina, and I don't think he's played like one game for him, right? LaFontaine.
Yeah, but that was a weird deal, right? Because that kind of happened when I was off for a little while. But the deal with that was that Carolina kind of had an emergency with their goalies, right? And
goalies hurt, and they called him up, and he found out at noon the day it happened.
That's amazing.
Didn't give him any heads. The Hurricanes didn't give him any heads up. Hey, we're going to do this. Because they thought he probably might want to talk about it. But I guess for LaFontaine, he's a 5th-year senior, and if he waits to the end of the year, he might not even get signed.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's a kick in the shins, and you lose your goalie, and the other kid hasn't played at all, and now he's got 3 guys over in
Olympics.
And Myers and the other kid, Canice, is it? Have each scored a goal over there for the U.S. So they're doing just fine over there. But you're losing 3 of your stars and you're losing your goalie, and you go in and sweep Ohio State. They're pretty good. Motzko's pretty good. So
yeah, he's a good coach. I don't think there was any question about that. Actually, they've won their last 4 because they swept.
Yeah, they swept
Michigan State last weekend.
Michigan State's terrible, but that's it. I wonder if people are ever going to get back on the bandwagon, because this Big Ten stuff, quite Big Ten. It's nonsense.
Right.
Go watch a game. You know what the Big Ten should do?
What?
They need an 8th team, right?
Yeah, because they've got. Well, they had Notre Dame, right? Made 7.
7th team. They should go get North Dakota.
Ooh.
And why not?
Ooh.
But I think I think North Dakota do it, but they're too damn cheap to give them a good cut of the proceeds, the Big Ten, right? Because because it's just hockey. So North Dakota probably makes more money without being in the Big Ten, unless the Big Ten's going to make it worth their while,
right?
But North Dakota has no attachment to this NCHC, right? I mean, what the hell? It's not their league. Their league is the Summit League in the Missouri Valley League. They're in 2 different leagues already. They should go get North Dakota.
Wow. That would be a coup. That'd be a coup right there.
Yes.
That would add a little spice.
Even though they aren't real great this year, it's the number 1 high. It's the Tuscaloosa of hockey.
Yes.
They still get 12,000 people that come to games, and they still are nuts for it. I know it's stuck up there in Grand Forks, but that's what they should do. Put some life back into the all of us. They come to town and play the Gophers, and you'd have 5,000 Sioux fans here in the arena. It's not the same when you're playing them in a non-conference series, right?
No, it's not.
They should. If I was commissioner of the Big Ten, I'd solve a lot of problems, and that would be the first thing I'd do to save hockey. Would be to go get North Dakota.
I'll put you in charge of this right now, because I like it. I mean, obviously, I grew up in Grand Forks, grew up on that rivalry, grew up with watching that program in the old Ralph, and that's my interest in college hockey just went off a cliff when the Big Ten kind of came in and swooped in and made this change.
But we have to remember, we talk about the WCHA as all these, glorious things of when we, had these same rivalries, but you also had a neophyte Mankato team coming to town. You had the Alaska teams coming to town. You had Bemidji later on. I mean, God love them. That league had gone to hell too. I mean, when it was an 8-team league and you knew who you were playing, and you played North Dakota 4 times, and you played UMD 4 times, and St. Cloud a little later. That was a completely different league by the time it blew up, right?
Yeah, it was. I think. Yeah.
Anchorage is in town. Let's go to the game.
Right.
Hey, you. All right.
Yeah. Colorado College and Denver were always usually pretty good too. It was a. Yeah, maybe the nostalgia of it carries the day a little bit. Not every series was great. You had Anchorage coming here all the time to get walloped in the first round of the WCHA playoffs. I think there was some amazing stat like 0-20 or something in that.
They won him once, I think, and it was like a tragedy when they came here, and they beat you once in that best of 3 series. But
seven moose parade in Alaska.
I have some very, very good solutions for sports problems, but people never listen to me. But I think North Dakota would be a 20-minute halftime show at the Super Bowl. That's it. We get you the hell out of there.
Okay.
Get Snoopy Dogg out to come out and sing one song and get the hell out of there.
You just call him Snoopy Dogg? You called him Snoopy Dogg.
I like Snoopy Dogg. But what do we call him? Does he change his name again? Is he called?
He's Snoop Dogg. He's Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. I know he's Snoop Dogg,
okay.
But I thought
just making sure.
Snoop or something like that. He's changed. I know it's not. Snoop.
Okay.
I like Snoop Dogg. There's a few things I could do to help sports, but the hell with them. They don't want to listen to me. So I'm done with it.
Well, let's bring it full circle. Let's finish this off. I saw they put out odds right away for next year's Super Bowl. The Vikings kind of in that no man's land. I think it was like 44-1, something like that. They're like 20th on the list. Same with the ESPN power rankings. They're like 20th or 21st for next season, which is not where you want to be in sports. I mean, now you get the new guy coming in here pretty soon in the next few days. When he gets here and gets an honest look at this roster, what do you think he's going to say? What do you think? What do you think he and Reusse want to do when they finally, get together in the room and say, "Here's what we're going to do with this roster"?
I think they're going to keep Cousins and extend him, and then figure they could maybe move him at the end when the buyout and stuff's a little more reasonable, if that's doable. I'm not sure the salary cap there. I think they're going to keep him. I think they feel like they're on the way with their offensive line. They're going to Anthony Barr won't be around, obviously. I think the big decision, there's two big decisions, Cousin and Hunter.
Yeah.
To do with Hunter. And but I think they're going to be of the belief they can win, especially if Aaron Rodgers gets moved. But I think they know what salary cap hell the Packers are in. Even if they were able to bring back Rodgers and Adams, they'd have nobody left over there, right?
Right.
I think they aren't keeping both those running backs. I think they're going to come in here and try to win, and I think that means that they're not going to blow it up. I don't believe at all. I think they. And that means keeping Cousins, right? I think it means keeping Cousins. Unless you're gonna, I don't know, what quarterback do you think you can go get that's better? That's a veteran quarterback that's better. It's a draft without a quarterback. It's terrible, and I just don't know where you go get a quarterback. I don't like the guy, but He's not much different than Matthew Stafford.
That's what I was going to say. O'Connell just watched Matt Stafford win a Super Bowl. That's going to tell him something.
Yeah. Matt Stafford was not good at a lot of times. He was good in the fourth quarter twice, and they won the Super Bowl. But they don't have Aaron Donald here, so that's obviously a big deal. But I think they feel like they look at what happened this year. And you can look at a few games that they won that they shouldn't have, but you can look that they should have been a playoff team this year, right?
Yeah.
They should have 9 or 10, right? They should have won 10. And so they're not going to blow it up. I don't think the Zig Monster wants to blow it up, and I don't think they're going to blow it up. You know what they're going to do? Tweak.
They're going to tweak. Oh, they're going to tweak, and they're going to, this is like this is what teams do now. They don't come in and blow it up right away. Remember, like Guerin came in and he kind of said, "We're going to take a look, take a year and evaluate the roster." And then, then after that, it's when he got rid of Parisi and Suter. And I think that maybe there's some harder choices to come in 2023. But I think I'm starting to feel what you're saying now, that this is going to be a little bit more status quo than maybe some fans would want to see in 2022.
Yeah, well, I think that their problem for years has been the offensive line, right?
Yes.
And you got some things going there. That Darisaw could end up being your left tackle, and O'Neill's really good. You're gonna have to pay him. And the guards, okay, you're acceptable. Bradbury's, you might have to make a move at center, but when they get their offensive line put back together, and their defensive line now has got issues too. The big oafs in the middle that they brought in did not work out for them. So I guess they got to rebuild the defensive line, maybe the defense in general in a little bit. But I think they're gonna start next season thinking they can win 10 games and win the division, because Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Denver or something. So that's my theory.
Could be right. Well, we'll see who's good next year, see what the Super Bowl looks like next year. NFL will never be boring. We know that much. Patrick, enjoyed it. Yeah, what do you got?
That 15-year-old cheating Russian.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about her. She gets to skate. She gets to skate still.
She gets to cheat. She's a cheater. She's a 15-year-old cheater. She's a Ruski. When are we starting to be nice to the Ruskis? She's a commie. Get her out of the Olympics. 15-year-old cheater.
All right, Patrick. Thank you.
That's my last word for the day. Throw her out.
I agree. Why should when is youth an excuse for being a cheater, I guess?
Yes, that's right. If we threw out, those East German, those brainwashed teenagers from East Germany who used to, come out and, women swimmers who look like Shaq O'Neal, we let them get away with it too. And look what it had. That's a 15-year-old cheater. Get her the hell out of the Olympics. Come on. Let's have some sanctity here of the Olympic Games. That Olympic spirit, that wonderful Olympic spirit. Let's keep it going.
The Olympics.
In China, by the way, where if you don't bow to their leader, you might get dragged off to the Chinese version of the gulag. But hey, the Olympic spirit in Beijing. Come on, throw her out.
I forgot about that. Well, I'm glad you brought it up at the end. We'll talk again next Monday. All right.
All right, sir.